Second, all in
We have
favor?
to repeat that
Oh,
at the recording.
calling the playground subcommittee meeting of February 12th into session. I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're there. Okay. So, a couple things, we'll start with the approval of the minutes, and everyone can take a look through. They were fairly long last time. You know, when you're
We
ready,
have a couple of minutes just to.
take a couple minutes look through. And Kathy, would it be okay to get this month's notes or meeting notes in advance of our next meeting so we can review them?
That's really up to the city.
Up to the city. Okay, I'll ask for it. Who do I ask?
Diane Delgado.
Okay, everybody ready? Okay, motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Just have a couple of questions, follow-up questions before we do that. In the playground equipment update on the first page, where it says Mr. Zabaka stated the federal standard and approved minimum distance from the swing to the ground. I just read the page, so I just wanted that to be changed because I don't want to sound like an authority on this because I really am not. I think I was just having the paper at the time
Right.
and reading
And you read
the
it.
sentence. I don't know if we can change that to,
Read a page from.
read out the federal or something like that,
Yeah,
like,
read
yeah.
out.
Just because I really don't have, I don't even know if that's the law. It's just what we were handed out, right? So it was just what we were talking about at that point. So,
You read it into the minutes.
yeah, something like that. Or, yeah, read out the provided federal standard of that is X, Y, and Z.
And
The
you have-
recreation resources, that's the vendor name, right?
Yes, the.
On the rubberized surfacing on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that was.
Yeah, restoration resources.
And that's all our.
What is reservation resources, not recreation?
Recreation resource,
Okay.
I say. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes with that recommendation?
Aye.
Okay, so we're good to go there.
Mhm.
Start with, the playground equipment update. So a couple things from last time, we were worried about the swings being off, and I did send the document over to Rick. He checked them. He said that the two baby swings were 2 inches off and Cliff fixed them, so that has been taken care of. I also, we had, Julie, thank you for reporting that we had one of the other swings damaged, and this was a swing that had been damaged prior.
The metal,
The bar.
the metal bar?
Yeah.
the chain, sorry.
The bar.
It's the safety bar.
It's- yeah.
Then I have something else to report.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's okay, yeah.
So, I forwarded the picture to Rick and I also forwarded it to Compin. They're sending a replacement kit and they said if it happens again, they're just gonna replace the whole unit.
Okay.
So that is good to hear. And then, let's see if there's any other equipment. You wanna tell us about the other equipment damage that you saw?
So, sorry, was the bar fixed? Or, the sender?
They're sending it. Should
And
be
Rick
fixed
will-
later this week.
Rick's crew will fix it.
Yeah.
And then the first, so before I introduce my thing, the two baby swings that were fixed. Was that in relation to that federal standards? That
It
were,
was.
so all of them are now up to that standard?
Yep, they're all at the correct heights.
Okay. And then I was there with Nora last week probably, or I don't know. Yeah. And then the yellow swing that parent could be on one side of the kid on the other.
That's the one, right?
There's a metal chain that connects the both sides. It's just hooked on one side. It's like it broke off.
Yeah, I
On
think
the
that's the
outside.
one that we were talking about.
And I was saying, but I asked was a chain, and you guys were saying it's a pole, not the.
It's the yellow bar.
Yeah.
That
Alright,
connects to
yeah.
a chain.
There's a whole screw missing.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we're talking about the same one.
No, but I'm saying that the part that I'm talking about is chain.
The chain connected to the bar?
Chain connecting to other chains. Yeah, if I can see the picture. Yeah, I'm sure it's the same thing,
Here
but-
it starts
Um,
taking everything out. Right.
I was actually. I'm guessing it's the same thing, but my concern there is, I know that they're willing to replace the whole thing, but. If that happens again, can we discuss replacing it with something else, because. It's too soon for that to fail. That should not have happened that easily, that bolt
Mhm. I
should
think
not break that easily, I
it's
think.
the wrong piece of hardware, to be honest. I
Okay.
think it was the wrong bulb.
I'm just thinking, they have used this equipment with other playgrounds too, so
Right.
this can be that we're having different use and, it just
Right.
was weird for me to see that piece.
Yeah, no,
broken
that's
because-
a good point. And,
so-
from what I understand, having talked to another playground vendor, that he said he thought it was the wrong bulb.
Okay, all right, and they're sending both, right, then to replace
sending
both of
it.
them?
That was my fault. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
okay, yeah,
That was the
yeah,
wrong bulb,
that's
yeah.
it, yeah,
That's it?
Yeah. that's it, same complaint.
Okay.
Um,
All right, so I think we've addressed our equipment issues. Moving on, we've got, a number of things. The rubberized surface, is really the next thing to talk about. I did get Recreation Resource to re-quote us based on, removing the zip line portion. Because I think everyone has agreed that that portion should remain wood, mulch. That it's not an accessible area per se and never will be, so just best to keep that out of there. I did ask Recreation Resource to give us line items instead of one big sum. And they have split it off into remove and dispose of existing playground mulch, which is 28,520. Supply and install stone base for poured in place rubber surfacing, so this is just the depression run is 40,000. And then the rubbering surface is 293,340 for a particular kind. You have lots of different options. They have quoted us a 50% color, 50% black, which means it's all one color. It just has some of the black worked in, which makes it less expensive. We're going to need to go take a look at these rubberized surfaces in other playgrounds to figure out what exactly we want. So that's something that we're gonna need a field trip on, and he did give me a list of places to visit. Earthborn Academy is one of them.
And I think Newark has the rubberized surface with like, ladybugs and stuff on the ground, and then the Can-Do playground has rubberized surface as well, I
Okay,
think.
and we'll have to find out. I don't think he did those guys, so we'll have to find out.
Okay, so,
who did.
so what they can
So,
do.
yeah, I'm gonna take a look at what these guys can do.
But they did our slime.
They did our slime.
What other place did they do?
I'll have to get you a list. Let me just see. I think I have it right here. They did East Goshen Township Park in Westchester.
I know where
Okay, then they did, playground in Middletown, Delaware at Levels Park. And they did the Great Valley School District's Katy Markley Elementary School. So we have a number of those that we can take a look at, just to get a sense of what it might be. Okay, so one of the things that I learned speaking to him about the rubberized surface is that it'll get hot. Unlike the mulch, which will stay cool or coolish, the rubberized surface can go up to 140 degrees. And so shading is going to become a must.
Okay.
So it's something we really have to think through. I know it's necessary to be ADA compliant, but it's a real factor in what we're doing. So
Besides natural shading, the trees that we have around, what would be like some
so those are the shading.
playground equipment kind of installed, like kind of trees looking?
Exactly. Those are the shading systems that we will look at
Okay.
next week or next weekend. And actually, Tara, who runs Hack, put me in contact with Anna Wick, who is a landscape architect and the daughter, I guess, of
That's
John
great.
Wick. And so we're gonna look to try to make the natural surrounding landscaping capstone project with students.
That's
to
great.
work on
That'll be
everything.
great.
So if that's possible,
That'll be
we'll get both natural landscaping as well as the landscaping structures or the
They
shading.
can give us a deal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So we'll look to get that in place pretty quickly.
that's great.
The other thing that we tentatively have happening this week is that the Leach School will be visiting parents, teachers, kids, the existing playground to give us feedback on what we've done and to look at phase 2 to give us feedback on what they think. So that's tentatively scheduled for this week. And once I get it, confirmed, if anybody wants to come to that, just let me know.
Day and time?
It'll be probably 3:30 because they get out at 3:15, so they'll come right over after.
So you'll let us know.
I'll let you know. It'll
Okay.
either be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Just remember that you can't have a quorum at those meetings.
Okay,
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll coordinate that it's only, I think, 2 members.
Either 2 or
max.
3. Quorum is 4, so we can do up to 3.
And then, can I just add to that?
Sure.
I will ask I spoke to Suzanne already separately. I'll ask Superintendent Jeff Mentor of Colonial School District tomorrow night. He's coming to the city council meeting. Whether, well, their ideas, how did they approach surfacing for the playgrounds that are being recommended for all the playgrounds in the school districts. Funding opportunities that they pursued so that we can hopefully look into that as well. So we're not reinventing the wheel and coloring as well as,
It would be
things like that. And anything that we can learn from them, because I'm guessing they have a bigger team to do this. And,
completely. Yeah, it'll be great if we
So,
can learn from what they've done.
So I'm not assuming I'm gonna learn a lot from this quick conversation, I'm thinking he might connect me to somebody who is overseeing that part of the project, so we can potentially even have them come to our meeting.
Okay.
And, instruct, not share the knowledge.
Share the knowledge, yeah, that
Even,
makes a lot of
even
sense.
via email.
Okay.
So,
No, that sounds great, thank you.
Mhm.
One tidbit from, just a follow-up from last month's meeting, I was waiting on the trustees in the city for the final cost of the mulch, and that came in at $12,090 for 600 yards. So just to have.
12,000, how much?
12,090 for 600 yards. So we were trying to figure out, the financials of the rubber and replacing that after the warranty expires, which is typically, I think, about 7 to 10 years. Versus doing mulch every year. It's clear the mulch is way
So
cheaper.
mulch is probably, we can budget 15,000, right? Because installation of it too and stuff, just to, if we're to compare it year by year in inflation.
20 years and still be cheaper.
That's what I'm saying, just to budget it every year with inflation, I think we multiply that number by.
Yeah.
Warranty number on the,
So it was just a clear indication that the rubberized is going to be.
the mulch is every year, so 15,000 times, what's the warranty on the rubberized, 10 years or 8?
10. So you're talking, max 150
So
to get
150.
10. So it's half the cost.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, just rubberized surface, not to
Yeah.
mention the 68, 69,000. Well, I guess removing mulch won't shoot next time,
Right.
but I'm sure removing the other old rubberized surface might be even more. I'm just, I get ahead of myself.
All right, looking forward, Encore is putting in a grant to the AARP for benches and shading. And we have gotten support and approval from Tommy Clayton from the Newcastle trustees. I asked him if he could supply a letter of support, and I'm expecting
great.
that to come before the application deadline. I've also asked the senior center for a letter of support. And Norman, I think you were gonna ask for a letter from city council, right?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that for advice tonight. Let's see, what's the appropriate approach, because I don't know if city can sign it, but I think one of the ideas was at least at a minimum, council person individually can
Can sign
issue
it.
a letter
Okay,
like that, kind of as a. So I'll talk to city solicitor tonight and see what the advice is, what the best thing, but yes,
okay.
that's correct.
And so that's where we are with AARP. And that I think is, the next part is the neighborhood playgrounds update. And so,
Can I talk about budgets while we're in
absolutely.
budget? So in the last in the last meeting, we talked about me scheduling a budget. Adding this, asking for funding for the playground at the budget review we just had in February at the city. However, I learned that we wouldn't be discussing any new items at this meeting when I reached out, and because this was a request from ARPA funds. This will be discussed later in the year during summertime, I believe, when we're discussing the FY25 budget year. So it's been brought up, the request has been brought up to the city council president, so I'll have more updates during summertime.
Okay, great. And I think just a note on the Jesse Ball DuPont Fund, you had done some research into.
Oh, yeah.
Neighborhoods that were
Yes,
disadvantaged neighborhoods according to the criteria. And Buttonwood does fall into that disadvantage.
yeah, this
status.
wasn't a big task. Honestly, I thought I would have to look through a lot of census data myself, but they had a great tool, map tool themselves that had all the criteria listed on their end, and then you select the neighborhood, the census tract, and they say eligible or not.
Hmm,
And then the neighborhood, the part of the tract that Buttonwood falls under is considered a disadvantaged neighborhood. And then, that was something I shared. So that's a potential we can explore for this particular grant. So I don't want to say exciting because that's considering that it's a disadvantaged neighborhood, but hopefully
It'd be more funding.
we can get some funding into the playground there. So
we just need to find somebody in Buttonwood who steps up to help with a playground.
there's a community outreach. Mayor Valerie Leary is going, actually with Brian next month, I think, So we can ask Brian to, in that outreach, have an eye out for folks that are interested perhaps.
That'd
And
be
then
great.
other recommendation would be to ask the Representative Cook for any recommendations, because I asked him before, but, you know, because this is part of his district,
Mhm.
that particular area, and he does have a knowledge of a lot of people in the neighborhood there, so I think it would be serving us. I'm happy to and
Yeah,
ask
that
if
would be
there's
great.
anybody who he thinks would be passionate about, you know, pioneering or pushing for, you know, about playground improvements.
That would be great, because our next topic of conversation is the neighborhood playgrounds update, and I know Matt was working on the Bull Hill. He's not here tonight. When I did check in with him, he hasn't yet really made any progress in that area. So it may be that one of us needs to help him with that, because I think he has a lot of other things on his plate, and it's been a difficult winter so far. But if somebody from Buttonwood, you know, steps up and wants to, you know, get going with the disadvantage status and all the funds that come with it, definitely willing to help them at the same time. That's all I have for the name and president update. Anybody have any questions?
I do, actually. So it looks like there's a couple different line items or projects out here that still was outstanding, and I don't know if it's worth discussing, maybe divvying up and assigning those tasks, or if we can even like deputize or marshal like board member. Maybe report back, and if we could do it, maybe move the ball that way. I'm just trying to think back to when we seem to be pushing the boulder a lot faster. It seemed like we were, you know,
We met every week, and
Yeah.
sometimes twice a week, makes a big difference. Encore is back to meeting weekly. So I think, for the grants and things like that, we'll be pushing forward that way, but you're right, the pace, is.
we're gonna fall into, you know, what is typical for government work in mail space, and then we'll be 3 years out.
Right,
I think that's what Suzanne is saying. We're trying to fill in, these meetings can occur on a monthly basis, right? So we can't speed up this work. But a lot of this has been delegated to Encore, you know, to Encore activities, like these grants that are updated here. A lot of the work happens, you know, as part of the Encore, you know, work, so.
Yeah, so we might be saying the same thing. I mean,
right,
if that's the case, then I think we're fine with it.
I think so, but I do agree with, if there's an item over here or items that still need attention, that we need to deputize to somebody, we should, right, spend the time right now. Even if it's saying Encore, you know, ask members of Encore to sign up for it. Whatever it is, but
I think the one I'm most worried about is the neighborhood playgrounds, because I can see that we know how big a job it is.
Right.
To get a playground going, to
Mhm.
get the feedback, and to have one person from the neighborhood take that on all by themselves. I had hoped that Randy would support, Matt, but he hasn't come back, so I don't know that, I think we may have lost him. But I do want to give Matt the support that I think he needs, and if you guys have suggestions for that.
well, Bull Hill is Matt, right? So for Buttonwood, we will ask Representative Cook, and we'll have, so I'm just writing down stuff, who's you know, who we're delegating at least a task
Who your
to
POC.
recognize somebody, yeah. And Brian, then for Dobbinsville, I think, I've seen a lot of kids actually play there. I've taken Nora there to play there as well. With her cousin, we could ask, it would be an easy ask just to go to the neighborhood there and just, you know, see whoever's out there and spread a word, but a person that comes to mind is Victor Bryson, because he has ran for city council several times, so we can see if he can spread the word in the neighborhood and ask if anybody would be interested to do that work.
I think my feeling is that having one person is not enough. I think we
Okay.
need to have a team of at least 2 people, 3 would be even better. so that they can work together and it doesn't feel like all of the pressure is on one person.
Now, the question here for the subcommittee is, and unfortunately, it's hard to delineate subcommittee and Encore, right? How many projects at once is too much, right?
I think if
You
we,
know, right, like say, we have Will Hill right with Matt, and we tag along another neighbor to help him out, right, to be on top of our support, right? And then we identify somebody for Buttonwood because we have a funding for particular, you know, because of the disadvantaged neighborhood, item, then is two projects going together too much?
I think it
Can we
is,
handle that? You know,
I think
because
it is.
all these other ones are probably smaller than Battery Park Playground, not probably definitely. But having said that, you know, just want to make sure that we're not burning.
right,
all
I
fuses.
think it takes a lot to put together a new playground. Even though we've done a lot of the groundwork for them, they
Mhm.
have to pick all the equipment. They have to get budget for it, they have to buy in from the community. It's, you know, there's a lot of work involved. And my feeling is that whichever community park gets 2 to 3 people supporting them, that should be the one that we give our attention to. Hopefully, you know, with Matt, it'll be Gold Hill, but if not, if we can find somebody in Buttonwood, maybe that's the one that catapults ahead. Because if we spread ourselves too thin, we won't get anywhere. I think it should be one at a time.
Well, I'll play a devil's advocate here. I know we're being recorded, but I think I'll still say it just because some other person might think it. Or do we take the opposite approach of trying to get a recommendation from each neighborhood and still have the same model of neighbor or 2 or 3 seeking feedback from their resident, you know, their neighbors on what equipment they think should be updated, what would they like to see, and putting a comprehensive request for all of the playgrounds at once to see some efficiencies in funding and installation fees, because delivery fees, right?
I mean, it
Like,
makes
if they
sense.
deliver everything at
Streamlining
once,
things.
kind of like, I'm thinking Colonial School District is gonna buy everything at once, right? They're gonna have this thought process. What is needed, you know, assessment. And then you just place an order. So I'm guessing we have a discount of 30%, maybe even increase to more. You know, and then delivery fee is probably the same for everybody, right? When you buy furniture 3 times, you're paying for delivery. 3
Right,
times.
one of the things that you're getting what
Those people want.
Absolutely.
That's-
No, absolutely.
It's a little tricky.
And I
Just
think,
economies of scale.
I think with Colonial, they have full-time people who work on this, and I think that's the difference. We can realistically spend time and focus on one playground at a time. If we had, you know, somebody who was working full-time on it, then yes, they could put everything on the board, plug it all in, put it, go, send it out, get it built, and that would be fine. But realistically, as a volunteer body, I don't think we can do it.
Well, we wouldn't be doing it in a sense that, you know, we're putting a proposal to the city. The city would still have to approve proposal for, and, you know, to revamp every single playground in the city, I think.
But-
You have to have a say from, you know, from the city too, I would think.
All of the steps, all of the pieces would have to be done here.
Correct, yeah, that's
And
yeah, I agree.
it's something that I don't think we would achieve at the same time. I think we can achieve it one by one.
Once again, I was playing devil's advocate.
I totally understand. And if you and I both quit our jobs, it might happen. Again, families wouldn't be so
I
happy.
love a playground.
Anyway, any final comments before we break? Thank you,
Thank
guys. The motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Miss.
Yeah.